Howdy folks, Tex Grebner here with Tex Grebner Outdoors. Hope you guys are ready to make it weird because it's time for your Tex Grebner Outdoors Saturday morning cartoon awesomeness. Speaking of making it weird, if you want to support the channel in a way beyond simply watching the videos, you can go to TexGrebnerOutdoors.com. Check out the Make It Weird merchandise, the Make It Weird sticker, the Make It Weird shirt, the Life Ain't Like the Pornos, Hunting Ain't Like the TV Show shirt, because Illinois archery season's coming up after all. Hopefully this year I'll break the whitetail curse and kill with sticks. If you're a traditional bow hunter, you can go to threeriversarchery.com and use the discount code of Tex Grebner in your checkout for all your trad life supplies. It will give you a discount because every little bit helps. And Three Rivers Archery has been kind enough to sponsor this channel for almost a full year now. I'm incredibly grateful. And the truth is, you'd probably be buying from them anyway, so you might as well use a discount code. Now, if you're interested in starting a fitness journey, or you're looking for a reason to continue a fitness journey, I strongly recommend that you check out traintohunt.com, look at their programming, get involved in the Train to Hunt Challenge, because it can be life-saving, and it sure can be life-changing. And because this is a safari rifle themed video, the truth is if you want to go on a safari that's not a car safari, shoot 'em from the road type deal, you're going to want to be in some real badass shape, because you're going to be doing some walking if you're trying to live out your capstick fantasies. That's just the truth. So you never are going to regret having a high level of fitness, because you don't have to be in real good shape to be a real good hunter. But if you're in good shape, it helps you enjoy your hunting more, because it becomes more about the adventure rather than the misery of getting to the adventure if you're out of shape. So I hope that you guys are going to enjoy this week's episode of your Tex Grebner Outdoors Saturday morning cartoon awesomeness. As you're going to see, this video has basically taken me all summer to make, and it's been a process of putting all this film together. So you're going to see it develop in stages with commentary along the way. I am a dangerous game rifle enthusiast, and I love the big bore rifles and true big bore rifles, not the 45-70. Leave your rage down in the comments, but I am a dangerous game rifle enthusiast with one problem. I've got no credibility because I've never been to Africa and I've never hunted dangerous game, but I'm chock full of book learning up here. So that's problem number one. Problem number two with making this video is the fact that I don't actually own a chronograph, so I can't verify the velocities of my loads that I'm actually firing, either from one factory or another factory loading. So I got to take the box art at face value for what I'm actually getting out of my gun. Problem number three is the fact that this video doesn't contain any actual scientific ballistic testing. Mostly because this is a 458 Lott, even with a high expansion projectile. Out of a 458 Lott or any true big bore safari rifle, elephant gun, I would basically need a railroad tie worth of ballistic gel to shoot into before I would even slow it down. So there is no capturing this ammunition in a scientific wound channel analysis. All I can basically show you is an energy dump into some fruit. But it has been a very fun journey because I have a true passion for dangerous game equipment, whether it's building arrows that would kill a rhino or owning elephant guns. However, part of this video, beyond simply showcasing the rifle that I've put together and the ammunition company that I've sort of partnered up with as far as sponsoring this video, the truth is the 458 Lott does have a place in North America as a hunting rifle because there is such a thing as too much gun. With that being said, though, a 10-pound 458 Lott is not going to kick you any harder than a 7-pound 300 Win Mag that you've got for the mountains. So I would consider this a dangerous game brush gun. Now, another problem is that while some of these loads that I end up testing out in this video are super hot, comparatively lightweight elk loads, I don't have a scope for this rifle. So I am limited to my express sights and their regulation from the gunsmith that I had sent it to. And I'm limited to my ability to shoot those iron sights. And truthfully, I am not a fan of shooting at anything beyond 100 yards. At least not something with a deer-sized kill zone, realistically speaking. So I can't actually get the most out of some of these loads because my effective range, and God forbid somebody online in the outdoor industry admits having an effective range, God forbid, my effective range with this rifle is ideally about 5 yards to 75 yards. 100 yards, it gets a little bit sketchy. But without a scope, I'm limited to minute of man style iron sights. And so while there are some loads in here that would be absolutely fantastic elk loads out to 300 yards with a scope, with iron sights, I'm not really capable of showcasing them to their full potential, especially with the amount of range that I actually have to work with that I can actually stretch this rifle out at. But I hope that you guys are going to thoroughly enjoy seeing me burn up some powder before we go back into the trad life for Illinois archery season. And if you have the chance to pick up a 458 Lott in a shop, it's one of my favorite calibers, and truthfully, I would use a 458 Lott from everything to deer, bear, be it black bear, brown bear, or grizzly, elk, moose. The truth is that this rifle, inside of, and this is my opinion, inside of 100 yards in North America is going to do everything that you would need it to do, but you would also be able to take it into Africa and actually go on a dangerous game hunt, depending on what loadings you're actually putting through it that are tailored for the job that you're asking it to do. I have two favorite calibers, 30-06 and 458 Lott. And in this video, I hope to be able to showcase to you some of my love for the 458 Lott. So this is my 458 Lott. It is one of my elephant guns. And this is going to be a pretty short video because I only have 5 rounds for it. But I just got it back from a gunsmith because there's nothing more reliable, theoretically speaking, than a properly timed controlled feed Mauser action. However, there is also nothing more unreliable than an improperly timed action. I also got my barrel cut down carbine length, and I got my sights re-regulated, but I'm just going to take my last 5 rounds out of this box and actually confirm 0 here. And the truth is, this is a dangerous game rifle. Dangerous game rifles are basically a close quarters weapon to begin with, so we're not talking about prairie dog hunting level of accuracy here.
Now, this could be really anticlimactic because I don't actually know how I shot. So you guys already know how this worked out. Iron sights are minute of man. So while I would have loved to have shot a ragged clover leaf group down there in the center of the orange, the truth is these are the first 5 shots I've put through the rifle since I got it back, and I know for a fact that it was factory regulated by the gunsmith and zeroed. It's up to me to figure out what my sight picture on the target needs to look like in order to be able to shoot that ragged hole. So for the first 5 shots through the rifle, which is basically at this point a brand new rifle because I got the action timed so that it feeds reliably now. I got the barrel shortened and recrowned, new front sight, new express rear sight, and I blued the gun myself. I'm very happy with how things have turned out for this CZ 550 and 458 Lott. Now, I wouldn't necessarily call this a pro tip because I've never been on safari before, and I have been through the school of hard knocks when it comes to shooting high recoil rifles. Do not zero a scope on a high recoil rifle off a bench. Now, you did see me shoot off a bench, but that's a lead sled that's bolted onto a hitch mount. The gun was going nowhere. I had almost no felt recoil whatsoever. But if you prone out to get a good steady shooting rest, or if you are on a bench and you're sitting, you're not going to be able to absorb the recoil very well at all. So what I have here, and why this is kind of a pro tip, is these are 72-inch by 1-inch dowel rods from the hardware store in a teepee with some 550 cord. That way, if I didn't have my lead sled, I could stand in an organic position to absorb the recoil, and it would also be replicating the style of shooting that you would be doing off of safari sticks in general. And this whole setup here only cost me $7, not including the 550 cord that I just had laying around. So it didn't cost anything to make, and it puts you in a position to organically absorb the recoil should you be zeroing a scope.
So as I said, this video has been a process in the making because I first had to actually find a gunsmith that was going to do what I needed to do with this rifle in making it reliable, because it wasn't reliable when I got it. Then I had to get my gun shipped out, had to get the gunsmith paid off, and then get it shipped back and fire the first initial function check rounds through it that you just saw. And then I found myself completely out of ammunition. But over the course of getting my gun worked on, I ended up starting the Tiger Slug project that I have a video on with Aria Ballistic Engineering to basically take a 12-gauge shotgun and put it on steroids to where you're throwing an Aria Ballistic Engineering Tiger Slug Thunderbolt at velocity and projectile weight that is comparable to a 5.77 Black Powder Express that they would have been hunting tigers with in the 1880s in India. So I got hooked up with them on the Tiger Slug ammunition and found out that they have a safari line and that they were willing to sponsor my 458 Lott project.
So this is an Aria Ballistic Engineering 458 Lott, and it's a 350 grain soft point projectile, 2,875 feet per second. So we're basically shooting an elephant cartridge with a 4570 weight projectile. Not too bad, seeing as my first shot and my second shot are the same point of impact. And it's actually not that uncomfortable to shoot.
Now, when I originally took that clip, I was so mad because I couldn't figure out how I could miss my entire target board. I pride myself on being a fairly decent shot. Now, the truth is, the first shot with those 350 grain soft points was off the bench at 50 yards. Pretty decent shot. Well, I moved up to 30 yards and fired 3 shots, and I thought I missed one, and I couldn't figure out how. Then I actually got home and cut the film together, and I realized that I'd actually sent a bullet through the original bullet hole. Now, if you think that the 458 Lott is too big and bad to have any level of usefulness in North America as a hunting rifle, first of all, those 350 grain soft points are some of Jason from Aria Ballistic Engineering's favorite elk rounds for the timber on the far west coast. But what you need to understand is that a 458 Lott is originally designed to replicate and possibly surpass the 450 Nitro Express caliber, and its parent case is the 375 H&H Magnum. This is nothing but a 375 H&H Magnum case that hasn't been necked down. Now, the 375 H&H Magnum is the minimum dangerous game caliber in many African countries and has been for several decades now. But it is also the parent case of almost all the belted magnums. For the most part, it's safe to say that the 458 Lott, the 375 H&H Magnum, and the 7mm Remington, which is a very popular high-velocity cartridge, they all share the same case. So if you think that the 458 Lott doesn't have a place as a North American hunting rifle because it's too big and bad, then that makes me a little bit confused about why the 7mm Remington was so popular in the western United States. We're just slinging a bigger bullet.
This is a 300 grain hollow point from Aria Ballistic Engineering in 458 Lott. Got the safari sticks and the gong target. And believe it or not, these 300 grain hollow points are actually very soft shooting for what you would consider an elephant gun. But I'm going to see if I can explode some fruit down here. This is a 575 grain 458 Lott from Aria Ballistic Engineering coming out of my CZ carbine. Little bit more stout than the 300 grains. Now this here is a little bit crazy. It is a 730 grain cast lead, and it's going almost 2,000 feet per second. And admittedly, it shoots a hell of a lot more stout than those 300 grain hollow points. Now I've got one more melon to go, and this is my favorite so far. It's the 575 grain.
I don't have the level of professionalism in my life to have a chronograph, so I can't actually verify my velocities. All I can do is trust in the fact that Aria Ballistic Engineering test fired my loads out of a 20-inch barrel before they sent them to me, and that the box velocities are in fact correct. This is a super alloy cast lead 575 grain projectile that, according to the box, is going 2,200 feet per second out of a 20-inch barrel CZ 550 Magnum Mauser action. Why is that significant? Because Hornady loads their 500 Nitro Express with a 570 grain projectile at 2,150 feet per second. So at least on paper, this Aria Ballistic Engineering 458 Lott loading is on par out of a bolt action with a 500 Nitro Express double rifle cartridge factory loaded by Hornady.
That was dramatic. Well, I've got a pretty good sized chunk of melon down there that's not blowed up yet. And so this is a 540 grain hollow point, all lead. That was also dramatic. Main thing is that the 458 Lott, while it is a belted Magnum style cartridge, it is a lot more versatile than what you would actually think that it is. So this may seem ridiculously close to this target. I'm maybe 5 yards away maximum, but even though a 458 Lott is not simply just an elephant gun, because with Aria Ballistic Engineering you can get a hell of a lot more versatility out of a 458 Lott. The truth is, it is still a dangerous game rifle, and dangerous game hunting is done at dangerous ranges. And so you really only get one good shot in a charge. So the truth is, while I have absolutely no actual credibility as a dangerous game hunter, I do want to actually check the impact point of my sights on that target at this close of a range, because I'll be honest with you, it's hard making this video because you need to know your weapon and what it's going to do and what your sight picture needs to look like. So that's why I'm here at maybe 5 yards maximum from this target. That way I can actually see when I put my front sight on that orange dot where my bullet point is going to be. Because if you've read the book White Hunters by Brian Hearn, you know that the truth is there's only one off switch, and it's a brain shot when you're dealing with dangerous game that's juiced up. So, I didn't hit the orange dot with a cloverleaf group, but there isn't a huge holdover between my sights and my actual point of impact. Now, if you've ever ran in a carbine class at close range, you know that that's a big deal with urban rifle stuff, is actually knowing and understanding your point of impact versus where your sights are going to be at super close range. The thing that's complicated this video so far is the fact that making it, I've been cycling through a bunch of different loads that Aria Ballistic Engineering sent to me, and these fixed express sights, they're regulated for a certain velocity, which is also really badass, that Aria Ballistic Engineering can load a 575 grain cast lead solid out of a super alloy that's going to run at the same velocity as a standard 500 grain Hornady bullet, which is what my sights are actually regulated for. Now, that first test of point of impact, point of aim was with the 730 grain Aria Ballistic Engineerings. So this time we're going to use some 540 grain cast lead hollow points, and we'll see if I get a higher point of impact at close range or if it's basically the same. And as you can see, or will see, yeah, we're basically the absolute same. And in that case, I did shoot a pretty ragged whole group out of what I already had. Now, while a 458 Lott, as I said, is not strictly an elephant gun, it is still a dangerous game rifle, and with dangerous game rifles, it's really important to actually know your rifle and have an intimacy with it. In my dealings with Jason from Aria Ballistic Engineering, I have found that he is an incredibly accommodating company owner, and I wanted to clarify some things. In some of these clips, you've seen what looks like powder smoke. The truth is that these loads were actually test fired out of a 20-inch barrel at Aria, so the velocities that Jason gave me were accurate, which is crazy to be pushing that much speed and that much power out of a shoulder-fired rifle. But it looks like powder smoke, and that's not actually the case. I actually had to clarify this with him, and it's actually bullet lube for the cast lead bullets because they machine lube grooves into their cast lead bullets just like Sharps bullets and heavier 4570s. So the velocities are accurate. I'm burning up in a 20-inch barrel, getting full power loads at insane velocities. And speaking of Aria Ballistic Engineering, they are competitively priced. A box of 458 Lotts are competitively priced with Hornady, Federal, you name it. You're not going to get screwed over on custom ammunition, and if you call up Jason and tell him what you're working with, they can actually load it for you to suit your gun. And I'm so far really happy with the ammunition samples that he sent me, and they seem to work very well out of my CZ. So I just wanted to clear that up, that yeah, the velocities are in fact accurate because those loads that he sent me were test fired out of the same gun that I've got here, but out at their factory, which is pretty awesome. Here at 100 yards. I'm a little bit disappointed that I didn't do these rounds their true justice, because I shot low for the majority of my shots, but that's actually because I held low because I was expecting these 350 grain soft points at 2,800 feet per second to basically shoot way higher than my sights. So I shot top post instead of center of mass, which I should have shot center of mass, but it is at least an object lesson in the need to actually be intimately familiar with your rifle and with your sights and so on and so forth. And you might have noticed that there was one shot where I had to slap down my bolt because the brass wasn't trimmed quite perfect. Now the truth is, I don't want you to come away with a negative opinion of Aria Ballistic Engineering's quality control. These are test rounds that were sent to me, and I'm going to send them back fire formed to my chamber. That way Aria Ballistic Engineering can do actual custom ammunition tailored to this gun.
Just to kind of wrap up this journey a little bit, I'm really happy with how my rifle turned out. I got my feeding issues fixed, which is how I probably picked up the rifle originally, because somebody just wanted to get rid of it because it wasn't working right. I bought it off Gunbroker, dicked with it for a couple of years before I finally sent it off to a gunsmith to get worked on. So I got my feeding issues fixed. I got my sights redone. I got my barrel cut down to an African brush gun style length. And it is just super handy. And another thing that I will mention about this rifle is shortening the barrel changed the balance point of the rifle, so it does have a significantly reduced recoil impulse. So keep that in mind. Now, if you're getting a CZ, assume that you're going to have some work done on it. But you're going to end up money ahead by getting a CZ 550 Magnum action as a base action to work with, rather than getting a high-end, expensive Mauser action that you're going to start getting into the rifle at $6,000. So while CZ has some quality control issues that can't be ignored, it is a great base action to get into because you can build on it and you can get it slicked up in the end. A couple of things that I'm not crazy about the rifle are the fact that it doesn't have an ebony safari tip on it, and it doesn't have a red recoil pad. But in the end, Musashi said that you should not carry heirlooms that have been handed down. So it doesn't need to be ornate, it just needs to work. Now, if you're still kind of twisted up about me saying that a 458 Lott can be an excellent American hunting rifle cartridge, you need to understand that a cast lead 458 Lott is not going to tear up game any more than a soft lead 12 gauge coming out of a Super X Winchester shell. That's just the truth. Now, it may be more recoil than what you actually want to have to worry about, but it's not too much gun for North America. That's just the way I feel about it. And there is a point of pride that I have about handling dangerous game rifles with traditionally heavy recoil, as well as some other guys handle 30-06s. So overall, very happy with how the rifle project turned out. I'm also very impressed with what I've gotten out of the Aria Ballistic Engineering ammunition. They've got the Tiger slugs. They've also got a Safari line of ammunition that goes from 30-06 clear up to 505 Gibbs. So if you guys want to see me take this rifle on a safari, or more attainably see me take this rifle after hogs with my buddy Tripper Sadler, Make sure to check out the Tex Grebner Outdoors merchandise store if you feel like supporting the channel, and you can make it weird. As always, God bless all my sportsmen of America. Join the NRA to protect our rights. Please check out my friends over at threeriversarchery.com. Thank you very much to those who've been involved in law enforcement and those who served in the military. And thanks for watching Tex Grebner Outdoors.